Hey guys, welcome back. I'm the Truth Fairy, and I'm here to do a reaction video for you today. And we're going to go down the conspiracy rabbit hole. I know that maybe some of you have heard of it, maybe some of you haven't heard of it, but we're going to watch it, and we're going to react to it, and we're going to see what the truth is about this conspiracy that birds aren't real. So, anyway, this is how I feel about it. It is what it is. Let's watch this video, and at the end, I want to know what y'all think, because, I mean, it's not something I think is absolute bullshit, because these guys can't even keep a straight face, but fun to watch. So let us get into this. Hello, Bobby. Let's get into it. Let's watch this thing. Get it done. Here we go.
This is the conspiracy that will change your life. A few weeks ago, I threw a conspiracy theory night with some friends. As I was researching different conspiracies, I came across what I thought was the dumbest one of them all. Birds aren't real.
Dumbest one of them all. It is the dumbest one of them all.
I thought, are you kidding me? Of course birds are real, but the more I started to look into it, the more it drew me in and the more convinced I became. The theory is that since the 1970s, the government has been replacing birds with bird drones to spy on us. There is a staggering amount of evidence to support this, and by the end of this documentary, you will also be...
Staggering. No, it is stuff that it does make sense. Some of it is staggeringly stupid.
That birds aren't real. Have you ever seen a baby pigeon? Ever? You probably haven't.
I've never seen a baby pigeon. Never. Have you? Have you seen a baby pigeon?
They don't exist. But if they did exist, surely someone has seen a baby pigeon, right? So we decided to go to the streets to find out for ourselves. Have you ever seen a baby pigeon?
No.
Have any of you seen a baby pigeon, ever?
No, I don't think so.
I have not, no.
Have you ever seen a...
You ever seen a baby pigeon? Let me know in the comments. You ever seen a baby pigeon?
Actually, I haven't. It is kind of sketchy now that I think about it.
Have you ever seen a baby pigeon?
No, I have not. I've wondered about that too.
Have you ever seen a baby pigeon before?
I don't think I have, actually.
Have you ever seen a baby pigeon?
Yes, I have, yeah. In Bangkok. On my porch. On the balcony.
Do you by chance work for the government?
Yes, I do.
Coincidence? But that's not the only unsettling question. In fact, there are a whole slew of questions that don't seem to have any answers. For example, have you ever been successful at touching a wild bird? Of course you haven't. Every time you go up to touch one, it flies away. So obviously
they're scared. They're birds. Yeah. I mean, who has touched... I've touched a duck. I've touched a rooster. They were tame on a farm. But the wild birds, can't touch them. The government
doesn't want you touching their high-tech drones.
When I go out in public, if I see a bird, I'll just...
This guy absolutely cracks my shit up. Funny stuff.
And I can tell it's an experiment I've done. They will just watch. They don't fly away very often if you stay far away from them, because they need as much data as possible. They only fly away when it's important to preserve the bird technology. So I will either freeze, or I will run at the birds as fast as I can, and it pretty much keeps them away. Either, if I freeze long enough,
I bet
the government will realize I'm not giving them anything. The birds will fly away. If I run at them, the government will realize I'm a danger to their bird program, and they fly away. That's how we should be living our lives. I feel so much more liberated now. I spend hours shooting at birds, and I really have never been happier.
I'm a videographer and I fly drones, but several times when I'm flying, I'll have a bird swoop down and try to attack my drone. This is because drones are the only instruments that we have that are capable of reaching the height of birds and spying on them. And obviously the government doesn't want our drones spying on their drones.
If you were to drop a feather,
it's obvious.
How fast would it fall? Relatively slow, right? But what if we were to throw a feather? Just chuck it at the ground as hard as you can. How fast would it fall?
Same.
Still doesn't go very fast.
The
Exact
fastest
same.
animal in the world is the peregrine falcon, which can dive at up to speeds of 240
This is
miles
true.
an hour. That's pretty fast. But, you know, we can throw things pretty fast too, right? So I looked up the fastest baseball pitch, and it was clocked in at 105.1 miles an hour.
That's
so
impressive.
you're telling me that something made of feathers can go more than twice as fast as the fastest baseball pitch in the world, and say that it hasn't been mechanically engineered by the government, that it doesn't have a jet propulsion system?
Because that's exactly where I'd go with it. What about you?
gotta be
Come
kidding.
on.
See this? You know what it smells like? It smells like lies.
Starting in the 1970s, birds were disappearing in mass
This guy.
numbers, and people immediately began to speculate that the government was getting rid of them and replacing them with bird drones. So we see a dip in population in the 1970s, and then it slowly started recovering.
Have you ever seen a pigeon outside of the city? You will never see a pigeon in a forest. And this makes sense because pigeons didn't actually exist before cities were built.
We think we're so smart.
Pigeons are city surveillance.
As humans, we put tape over our laptop cameras because we don't want the government watching us, but yet we neglect to pay attention to the birds watching us right outside of our windows. We think we're so smart, we say, I'm not gonna buy an Amazon Alexa because I don't want the government listening in on me, but then we buy birds as pets. How much stupider can we get?
I once went over to a friend's house and they had just gotten a pet, and here I am thinking it's a cat or a dog, which heaven knows maybe the government's planning on replacing those too. But I had to leave the second I saw that it was just a little tweeter bird, and I haven't talked to them ever since.
As far as my personal experience with birds,
Here he goes. Oh my god. This is epic.
it's a little hard for me to talk about. I had a bird. I had a bird in my house as a kid. My first pet. And I never knew. The whole time I never knew. Now that I look back on it, I'm like, unless it was like closing its eyes, uploading at night, it was watching. Every time I walked in the room, it looked at me. Every time I walked out of the room, it looked at me. It's a personal vendetta for me against the bird program because they made me love what I should hate. And when it died, I realized that I just had to throw it in the fireplace and move on with my life. But I'm not going to forgive him for that.
So
No,
why do we
I
have
wouldn't either.
pet
I wouldn't either.
This one is interesting because there are only certain species that the government allows you to have as pets. The government allows you to have as pets if that's not clear as day. These birds are in the home because the home is the place people feel safe. You know,
That's
outside
right.
you can
Yeah.
be judged for what you say, but in your home you can say anything that you want. The government wants to know about that as well. So I think it's listening in our most intimate of moments.
Oh yes.
Families
Yeah.
together. They
course.
want to know everything about us, and they can do that in our homes. I mean, these things talk. You're supposed to make me believe that there's an animal that we willingly let into our home that also can talk? It's ridiculous. But
This is ridiculous. Oh my god. You guys, this is amazing. Amazing. I have had more fun with this. I hope you guys enjoy this as much as I do, because it just gets better.
I too believed the birds were real.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm here to try to convince other people of the reality.
It's not a victimless crime. That bird was my friend. What kind of sadistic programming do they have where you reach up and it hops on your finger with its little feet?
Yeah.
It just looks at you. It'll eat little things. Or should I say collect samples as you feed them?
Samples.
I cared about
Yeah.
that bird. It didn't care about me. But they made me think it did. How can you forgive something like that? I didn't have other friends.
It's hard.
Bird was my only friend for years of my life.
The government's super smart.
Just betray
They
him.
have mechanically engineered pet birds to make them look cute, adorable, fluffy. You see, pictures and videos online all the times of
Yes.
these pet birds doing
Yes.
funny things, saying funny things, dancing, bobbing their heads. But obviously that's just a government tactic to try to soothe us into thinking that there's nothing wrong here, that these are just like any other normal, cute animal.
Yeah.
But in reality, we don't know what these birds are doing when we're sleeping. We don't know the conversations that they're listening in on. We don't know how they're observing us when we walk around our house. The government already has a ton of data from us, from use of social media, the websites that we visit. But in addition to that, having a literal government drone as a pet bird, it now knows everything about you.
Everything.
Have you ever tried to win in a fight against a bird? 2 countries have declared war on birds, and they both lost.
This is true. This is true. And when they incorporate stuff that's true, let me tell you something about how this gets so good, guys. Just stick in till the end with me. This is going to be the best thing ever. If you haven't seen this, this is something that is going to absolutely make your day. It made mine.
The first was Australia. They had what was known as the Emu War, where they tried killing off all the emus, even using guns. But their attempts were unsuccessful. The emu population persisted, and they won. The next country who declared war on birds was China. Years ago, Mao Zedong, who was the former president of China, ordered all the sparrows to be killed. After a few years, the insect population had grown so much that locusts and grasshoppers and other insects descended on China's crops by the millions. Mao realized his mistake and called a halt to the war on sparrows, but the damage had already been done. Without the birds, China found itself powerless against the insects.
So here's a map of the world showing the countries who haven't declared war on birds versus the countries who have declared war on birds and who have lost.
The worst kind of bird is the hummingbird. The reason is that they look so cute.
Those damn hummingbirds.
On the surface. But that is just clever exterior design for the drones.
Yeah.
The problem is that they fly so fast and so silently that you can't tell when they're about to dive bomb you.
Are birds weaponizable? They're basically swords with wings that stab you in the heart emotionally. I haven't seen evidence of it physically, but emotionally, they get you. They're weapons. Take hummingbirds, for example. Beak needles. I would call them
beak needles.
People get confused, and I'm like, don't. It's a beak
don't
needle. What do you think?
Beak needle.
What they don't realize is that these hummingbird needles can
beak needle. It's a beak needle.
Inject anything. Some people believe in anti-vaxxer dogma, and they don't realize that it's not going to be a mandate from the government that forces them to get vaccinated. It's going to be hummingbirds.
I don't know. I think birds might be real.
Yeah, me too.
What is the animal that is the most illegal to kill in the United States? It's illegal to kill the bald eagle because they are the most expensive government drone and extremely difficult to replace.
They say that eagles can spot a mouse running from hundreds of feet in the air. Well, that just sounds vaguely similar to the SR-71 Blackbird that uses telephoto lenses to take pictures from miles in the air. Obviously, they're using the same technology.
Someone got video evidence of a man trying to kidnap a bird drone, and this is what happened.
Dive bombed.
What does BIRD even stand for? Obviously, it stands for Bureaucratic Intelligence Reconnaissance Drone.
Did you know that when an owl flies, it is almost completely silent? Any sound is practically indistinguishable. How much stealthier can a government drone be?
Each type of bird drone has a different purpose. Pigeons do city surveillance, vultures are in charge of public sanitation, owls do night surveillance, hummingbirds are attack drones, seagulls do coastal surveillance, hawks are the regional alphas, ravens are stealth attack drones, and parrots are obviously linguistics analysts.
Something that is quite concerning is that we don't yet know what all the types of birds are used for. We know a couple of them, but ostriches, for example, very different in design from other birds. We currently have no idea what the purpose of an ostrich is. Is it in preparation for some sort of war?
They're preparing it for something very important.
Some sort of takeover? Is it specifically location-based? I mean, some of these things are taller than people are and can run many times faster than us. Flamingos. They're pink. They sit around eating shrimp all day, but they have this ridiculously huge...
They also pee on themselves to keep themselves cool.
Beak that looks suspiciously like it could be a weapon. I mean, we just don't know what some of these are, and that's incredibly concerning. And those are some of the things that we will be investigating as we move forward. And as people kind of catch on to this, we hope to uncover those mysteries as well. What worries me most is if they could do it with birds, they could do it with anything.
The scary thing is that this bird drone technology is increasing.
Absolutely.
The newest models of birds have 360-degree vision and even know how to dismantle anti-spy equipment.
Did you know that when a bird sleeps, it doesn't fall over? Do you know of any other two-legged creature that can sleep standing up? Could you sleep standing on two legs? What other animal do you know that can sleep standing on only two legs? Nothing, because they aren't actually sleeping.
This is the sound that R2-D2 makes.
Uploading.
And this is the sound that a bird makes.
Yes. Because that proves it right there. That's it. That's the proof.
Coincidence?
As far as how
I think
the
not.
mechanics work for birds, think about this. Okay, so
This guy.
this is like, what's this? Robot, right?
Robot.
What's this?
Yes.
You can't tell anymore.
No.
Is this a robot or is this a bird?
I don't know.
Nobody knows. Let me show you this. How about a little bit of a, like,
Yeah.
right? Or how about a?
Yes.
I don't see a difference.
I think that the
I don't
government's goal with bird drones is similar to any other mass surveillance system. It's like the things that we learned from Edward Snowden back in 2013 about mass surveillance programs, data collection through your apps and your devices. I think it's all part of the same campaign. I think they got constant camera monitoring on us. If they have, you know, our location and our information from our devices, they also have eyes on us through the birds. It's all part of the same thing. Just keeping tabs.
Sure.
I've actually started to do my own experiments about this. There's all these ideas of, like, you know, throwing them food and stuff, right? And I've realized, I'm like, well, the thing is, drones don't need to eat, right? But what do you know about information? Information is power. These birds, when you're throwing them food, they're collecting data. They're collecting data about the products you buy so they can sell your data to these other companies. This is classic big tech. Did you feed them Doritos? What kind? Cool Ranch, maybe? Was it this new Salsa Verde variety? They want to know. The birds are going to collect your samples and they tell Frito-Lay how you're living your life.
Oh my God, yes.
That's why they pick up.
Because Frito-Lay is a big deal. If Frito-Lay knows how you're living your life, you're in trouble. Always.
If you grab your phone and you take a look at the camera on the back side of it, you may notice that it actually looks exactly like a bird's eye. Have you ever noticed that? Look at it. Looks exactly like the eye.
Okay, it kind of does, but wow. Oh, wow.
Of a bird.
The Birds Aren't Real movement has gotten so big that the government has started to speak up about it. An actual government Twitter account posted this. Why would they say this unless they were hiding something?
I was driving through a canyon one night, and I was having some deep thoughts, philosophical things, and then this bird, this white drone, swooped right at my car. People would say it was an owl. That's what they say. Totally interrupted my train of thought. The government doesn't want us
definitely an owl.
To think, to philosophize. They don't want us to challenge the paradigms that they've put in place. That's when I knew that those kinds particularly were most dangerous. And so, yes, I see the birds that perch on the windowsill. I see the birds as I'm walking throughout the day, but it's the birds that stop me from thinking for myself.
That's it. They will not let you think for yourself. These birds, these birds. How dare they?
So what happens when people try to expose the birds? There was once a British diplomat who found out what the government was hiding, so he jumped onto a plane to go to the UN to warn them, and this is what happened.
Oh my God. This right here, you guys, the first time I watched this, I almost pissed myself. This is, they have taken this so far, and it's so funny. It's so funny. Look at this plane. That's why. Exactly what he said. That's why they attacked that
Fortunately,
plane.
he never made it.
Sometimes people ask me what's the government's purpose in replacing all these birds with drones.
Right.
It's a multifaceted issue here. First off, they want
Find
to
out.
keep us in line and make sure that we're
Yeah.
being good boys and girls. They also want to
'Cause birds
bolster
can
the
do that.
economy. It makes it a lot easier for them to create repair necessities by flying birds into waterways or into power lines and destroying things because, as we know, the government has a monopoly on utilities. They can control when
That's true.
they can boost up the price or when they need to cut things back from certain communities. It gives them even more control over our resources. Not only do they have our personal information, but they also see what we're doing at every hour of the day. You'd be surprised just how often you might find a bird outside of your window.
As I got deeper and deeper into finding out what the government was hiding, I started asking myself, how does this all work? Are birds battery powered? Some people were saying that quarantine was really just an excuse for the government to collect all the birds so that they could switch out their batteries, and there were videos that had convincing evidence of this, but then I realized, oh my goodness, birds' feet are literally inductive charging coils.
There it is. Right there. That's it.
This has been
That's
in front
it.
of our eyes the whole time. The most
Whole
common place
time.
that we see birds is when they're charging on power lines, and we don't even
There you
bat an
go.
eyelash. The government
So-
has been hiding their bird drones in plain sight,
Yep.
and most humans
Yep.
are too stupid to even see it.
They have cameras where their eyes are supposed to be, telephoto lenses. There's a speaker
Yeah.
and a microphone right here in the
Yep.
chest. On their back and between their wings, they've got,
Makes
like a
perfect
wireless
sense.
antenna. That's how
Yeah.
they communicate data to data collection centers and whatnot. A central processing unit right around where their heart would be. Below that is their battery. And then the charging coils are their legs. They're polar. You need both to complete the circuit. That's why they're
right.
two-legged animals. Yeah, that's kind of the basic layout of a bird drone.
A few
Yeah.
days ago,
Yeah.
a brave mercenary snuck into a top-secret government bird facility and was able to capture a bird prototype. And
Look
now
at
its
it.
electronics have been
Yeah.
revealed. The
There it
government
is.
can't hide for much longer.
Sometimes
Yeah.
people wonder, how do you explain
Coming
the
out.
lifespan of all these birds that live multiple years? Well, if you track migratory patterns, you'll see that birds actually, when they fly south for the winter, are being cycled out every year. These birds
Of
don't
course
live
they are.
multiple years. They only live a few
Sure.
months,
Yeah.
just like a mechanical drone.
A lot of people ask the question, well, hey, what about bird poop, right? My question to you is, have you ever seen battery corrosion? If you compare a picture of bird poop right next to a picture of a battery that's been corroded, it looks exactly the same.
This is the biggest stretch they make. And absolutely hilarious at the same time.
So when a bird poops, it's actually the corrosion of the battery that's coming out because
Of course.
birds go through this self-cleaning
Yep.
cycle that makes it so that they can get
Just like an oven. They go through a self-cleaning cycle. And that's why. That's why. Because bird poop looks like battery acid. And that's exactly, I mean, spot on. Like,
rid
spot
of the
on.
corrosion of the batteries on the inside.
A common tactic that the military even uses with their fighter jets is they'll fly in a V formation. What this does is it reduces drag across the wings,
Right.
and it allows them to fly further
The mighty
without
ducks.
expending as much fuel. We see the same thing in birds. And why do they do
Yeah.
this? Of course, the government's trying to cut down on costs. The bird drone program has expanded so much.
yeah.
With the government deficit spending, they need some way to maintain their surveillance without driving up the costs.
It's not just the drones
Perfect
either.
sense.
The government has implanted birds into popular culture. I mean, as a child, Big Bird. You know, ever since we were little, we had this bird, this government drone teaching us to
Sure.
trust them, that they would teach us how to spell, that they were friendly. At such a young
And here it
age, that
comes.
kind of indoctrination is dangerous.
Here it
Have
comes.
the Eagles, a whole band called the Eagles. I mean, none of that music could be any good. And then you have sports, the Seahawks, Eagles, Ravens, the Falcons. I mean, are you kidding me here? It's right in front of us.
The connections run even deeper than you think. Johns Hopkins University, famously known for their medical research, which is actually just a front, is the highest funded university by
front.
the United States government. And what's their mascot? A blue jay.
You'll start to notice if you look,
There it is.
where are these birds' nests? Right? like, how many people do you see, right? And how many homes do you see? Lots of people, lots of homes. Take a look at how many birds there are. Where are the birds' homes? They don't need them, because only living stuff needs homes. These birds, if they were real, would have more nests, but they all communally share these nests only when they have to have a hardwired connection back to wherever they're sending this information. Just try this experiment. The next time you go outside, count how many birds you see and count how many nests you see. You can compare that to how many people and how many homes. I don't think it'll lead to.
I've heard a bunch of stories of people who have been walking on the streets, people who have never done anything wrong in their life. They've always paid their taxes, they've always been good civilians, and these government drones have swooped down and have attacked them. This could be a malfunction in the technology. It could be that a government employee is just having a bad day. But there are dozens, if not millions, of these cases.
Some people want to know how we explain birds of prey. If they're drones, why would they attack each other? It's just a clever way to switch out old parts. I mean, if you saw government workers everywhere picking up birds, people would catch on. But they have actually created specialized drones to do the work for them right in front of our eyes.
Before, birds weren't like a big part of my world. It's like they were there, but I didn't really pay any special attention to them. But ever since I've been keeping an eye on them, I've noticed that I can't go anywhere without birds keeping an eye on me. I don't know if the more I look at them, the more they look at me, or if I'm just noticing for the first time that I'm under constant surveillance. I can't get away from
surveillance.
I've had to completely redefine my social circle. I even had to quit my job and go totally online. Because they kept making me walk down this busy street to get into the main corporate office where there are birds and nobody listens. One of the reasons I had to quit my job was also that they were going to make me get a Twitter account. Of course, tweeting or a Twitter account is supposed to normalize bird behavior and make us more comfortable with the idea of birds, so that we forget that they aren't real.
I use Facebook, I use Instagram, Snapchat, pretty much all the other social media apps, but I avoid Twitter. I feel like it's a pretty flagrant mock at us by the government. I think that using the word Twitter, the word tweet, the little image of the bird, I think it's their way of letting us know in a coy manner that they know what's going on. It's like fessing up to it without fessing up to it.
This one time,
of course it is.
Just chilling at the beach, minding my own business, and I was about to eat a Dorito, and I could tell that the Seagull surveillance drones were really paying attention because they, coastal surveillance, they want to make sure I'm not damaging the wildlife in the water or signaling to somebody out at sea to come and invade the country. And immediately, just swoops right in and takes the Dorito out of my hand. I've never been the same since.
Why is it that there is no winged flying technology for humans? Would that really be so hard to invent? I don't think it would. I think that it is a technology that is being kept under wraps by the government because they're using it solely for their bird surveillance program. I think
and that makes perfect sense. It really does.
That it is beyond our ability to create something like that. And I think we would have it if it wasn't being stomped on by the government.
We have progressed so much as a human race.
What about the people who have the wingsuits that fly off of the mountains in the wingsuits? And this one not so spot on like they think.
With technology, we have cryptocurrency, we have artificial intelligence, but yet with all the technological advancements that we've made, we haven't been able to figure out wings or how to fly with wings. I think that it wouldn't be that hard to figure out. The only thing is that the government has a monopoly on wing technology.
Absolutely.
Every time someone tries to invent some kind of wing technology similar to birds, they're shut down by the government.
Shut it down.
Every time.
You know Da Vinci? He tried to fly back in the day, but there are already plans in place during his time. I think the Illuminati are bad. Pre-bird organizations are even worse. Anytime we try to invent something where we can fly, what does that allow us to do? It gets us closer to the birds. The government won't have it. They have a complete monopoly on that. The only thing they let us have is big, giant, just bulky flying machines where you have to stay inside. Have you tried to get outside a plane while it's flying? I don't recommend it.
We live in a world where we've been
I wouldn't recommend it either.
Accept what we see. We see birds and we don't think about it. They're just a part of our world. They have been since we were kids. So, you know, it just kind of goes unnoticed. If you take a step back and really evaluate the
Because they're birds. They're birds.
data, evaluate the empirical evidence, it speaks for itself. You can tell
Sure.
that there's more going on than what you've been led to believe. When you look at them with a broader mind than what you've been conditioned to do in the past, it becomes obvious.
You know, I think I was kind of personally disappointed. You grow up your whole life under certain belief systems. You know, you're taught things by your parents, and sometimes when something challenges those core beliefs, you don't want to let them go. But there was just too much evidence. I couldn't ignore any longer. It was just so obvious that birds weren't real, and I'm just upset that it took me so long to see it.
Ever since I learned that birds aren't real, it's really affected the way that I live, having this enlightenment. Now I have to close all of my blinds, and that certainly doesn't help with the agoraphobia.
This isn't just another conspiracy. There's evidence behind this. There are scientific facts that prove birds aren't real. I've talked to the flat Earth people. I've met people who believe in the hollow Earth theory, that there are reptilians running the government. I even met some guy who thought that Justin Trudeau was the son of Fidel Castro. This isn't news. This is something else.
This is something else. Not at all crazy like any of the things that he just said. Not at all. Wow.
So ever since I've been investigating the birds aren't real theory, I've just been noticing little things here and there that never really caught my attention before. For example, like I'll be driving down the highway and you'll see some birds dive off of a pole and fly away, and immediately a couple other birds will go and take their place. It's like they're taking shifts.
It's interesting because we don't know if there are any birds that actually are real that still exist out in the wild. It's possible, but what we do know is that as the government drone bird population increases, the real bird population decreases. Remember back to when you were a kid, back in the 90s or the 80s, you would see nests fairly often out in the wild, and that made sense because there were still some real birds that existed. But now, as you look around, you will begin to see less and less nests and real birds around, because obviously government birds don't need nests. And maybe the government is just setting up these nests to try to convince us that these are real birds. But just imagine what the world would be like if there was no nests. I think that it'd be a lot easier for us to know what's actually going on.
Of all the planets in our solar system, Earth is the only one that has had billions of deaths. Ironically, Earth is the only planet that has birds as well.
Earth is the only planet that has life. Again, wow.
I think that's a coincidence?
Since I first became aware of the bureaucratic intelligence reconnaissance drone program, they are everywhere. Seriously, everywhere. Rooftops, power lines, trees. Seriously, look, open your eyes and look when you get out there.
Yeah. If it flies, it spies. Just know it.
Everywhere.
Do you believe that birds are real?
Yes.
Do you believe that birds are real?
I do. I do believe birds are real. Yeah. They've been around for a while.
Yeah, because people have
been around
common
for a
sense.
while. We trust them. But do we really?
Yes.
Most people would look at this
Birds are real.
and they would say it was fake. But then they see other birds and just decide that they're real? What's the difference?
Well,
oh my god, that one's stuffed. Definitely not real. The other birds, real, living creatures. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but wow.
Well, since I have been looking into this, and surely I'm calling attention to myself by doing that, I've had to take extra precautions. If I'm driving and a bird swoops dangerously close to the car, I take it a lot more seriously nowadays. Because you never know what they're doing, if they're attacking or just watching. I think a lot of it is their bluff threats. I think the government's trying to tell me they know what I'm doing. And the release of this documentary is something that it scares me a little bit, just knowing that they will full well know what I know. That could put a target on my back.
They're gonna know. They're gonna know, you know.
I can't believe
Yeah.
we live in a world where people still think that the earth is flat and that birds are real. So the next time you are outside, if you see a bird, pay special attention, because
that right there kills me. Because, yes, there are people that think the earth is flat, which is insane, and we will be reacting to some Simon Dan, and watching the craziest people talk about flat earth, which is the most ridiculous thing. He believes the earth is not flat, but that birds are not real. Stop it. You just stop it.
you'll notice that it's looking at you too. The thing about bird watching is that it goes both ways.
That's right. So there we go, folks. What do you think? It's fun. It's fun to watch. I got a kick out of it the first time I watched it. I laughed a lot. There is a part 2, which we'll do. It gets into a little bit more of it, and it's just more absurd. Conspiracy theories are fun. I have been known to go down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole. The moon landing, several things that I really, they're fun. Conspiracy theories are fun. This one is crazy, and the guy that started it has admitted that he started this as a movement to show how stupid conspiracy theories can be and are. So let me know in the comments how you feel about this. What do you think about it? If you enjoyed this, like up this video, subscribe, and here we go. We're going to do these reaction videos. If you like it, let me know. If there's something you want me to react to, leave it in the comments. Love you guys. Subscribe. Peace. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.